Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Howdy, 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 and welcome to the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge here at Donington Park Race Circuit, presented by Finding Speed. I'm Austin. I'm joined by Andy Thompson with Samuli Kumo in the production booth, and you're here live watching Apex Racing TV. Andy, last time, 2 weeks ago, we were at Silverstone, and now we go up the country just a little bit and head to the classic Donington Park Racing Circuit for another round of this Asetek SimSports GT Challenge. How are you feeling about today?
Good evening, Austin. Good evening, viewers. Yeah, Donington Park, completely different contrast to Silverstone. Very undulating track, and there's going to be difficult corners for these drivers to navigate around on this track that can bite back quite heavily. Obviously compared to round one at Silverstone, which pretty much is a flat course, but obviously just a quick recap of what happened in that race. We saw a epic titanic battle between Paul Gannon and Lorenzo Hodzing for that second place overall, literally coming to blows on the final lap, giving Chris Van Den Essen a slight opportunity to maybe try and grab one of the podium positions, but Tom Rogelli dominated that race. So it'll be interesting to see here at round two, Austin, if status quo is the same, or whether there's going to be a bit more fireworks between Paul and Lorenzo.
Yeah, the gap at the front is very tight, especially between these two, especially at Silverstone, but we do have a little bit of separations throughout there. But yeah, Tim and Laurence at the very top. The teammates separated just barely by 8 points right there, but you know, the teammates, they're going to have a little bit of work cut out for them right now, because in the practice session, they are not the fastest two. They are separated by Scott Reister, who is down in 5th place in the championship, all on his own for Reister Racing. Patrick Gannon in 2nd, and Chris in 4th place. And there's Scott in 5th, and that is your top 5. And the top 5 points scored just like the British GT Championship. 26 points for the win, and all the way down to 1 point for 10th place. And that is your Pro Championship. And let's take a look at our AM Championship. David Chadwick championship leader right there, 26 points. And then it's Matthew Knudsen in second place. After one race, we're going to start seeing the championships really take a bigger look when we hit, I would say, race 3 to see our real top contenders, because some people can be very good. And I also remember the AMS race was a little bit crazy at Silverstone.
Yeah, it certainly was, but David Chadwick was the dominating factor in that amateur championships in Silverstone, winning it by a mammoth 12 seconds in the end. Pretty much an easy race for him, but this track has a different feel to it, and it's certainly not going to be all its way. It's very tricky. I mean, certainly when you come down through turn number 2, going into the Kramer curves, coming down into the whole old hairpin is always a treacherous part of the course, and if you get it slightly wrong, certainly going through that old hairpin, which you'll see a lot of the drivers literally cutting the apex of that corner, but quite easily to spin the car. So I'd expect some fireworks coming down there, and then coming into Coppice as well. It's a tricky corner to try and maximize the speed coming out of there. If you get it slightly wrong, get your wheels on that grass on the exit, we might see a few cars spin at it. And one of the interesting things as well is turn number 1. That's going to be a treacherous place, certainly when we get to the round of pit stops, because we see a lot of the drivers, and the natural racing line is to cut over into the pit and exit lane to try and open up turn number 1. So if you've got a car coming out of that pit lane and a car coming down that start finish straight, it's going to be very spicy indeed.
It really is. And turn 1 on your own is also pretty pretty off-putting. It's very fast, it's very tight, and it just invites you to take a little bit more into that corner. Each in and each out you go through there. You want to use the curb off the exit, but a little bit too much, and it's going to be a bad time heading down the S's into the old hairpin. As practice is now over, and it's time to go qualifying here at Donington Park. And as we prepare to get ready to go qualifying here in the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge. Asetek pedals, inspired by real-life racing standards, the Forte load cell pedals have been thoroughly tested by racers and sim racers alike. If you've been looking for the best race car brake pedals feels without going full hydraulic, look no farther. Place your order now at Asetek SimSports webshop. Proud sponsor of the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge here in the Finding Speed GT League, as everybody is now heading onto track for lone qualifying.
Yeah, lone qualifying, 3 laps only, so really got to try and get it done. So you need to make sure, certainly around this track, you get your banker in as early as possible, so then you can really push it, because it's so easy in this track to get that off track. And if you do, then obviously that deletes your laps. With only 3 laps to be able to get a time in, it's all important that that first banking session lap is in place to be able to really push on for the next 2. So quite important. So we'll start seeing the times coming through shortly, as the guys are just on their out lap here. 10 minutes to go. Obviously, like I said, this series does have fixed setup, so nobody's got an advantage if they are a setup god. All the drivers are using the sprint iRacing setups across, which makes it an even playing field when it comes to these qualifying and race setups, and then it's purely down to the car's ability around these different circuits. So we're just watching Scott Rister here, just coming around the last corner there, starting his first qualifying lap.
Yeah, everybody does a full out lap, and then they go around here at Donington Park. It's not like IndyCar where your out lap turns into your first flyer lap. In iRacing, the first... I wish more series does this, where they put the timing line a few turns back, like 1 turn back before the pit ends. So once you do a lap, you can go into the pits immediately. That would be more for group qualifying sessions, but it also just makes qualifying a lot faster. You don't have the, oh, I've done a bad lap, then you have to do an entire lap again.
Definitely just riding on board with Mika Kiss out there. And you see here the line, look, literally cuts over into that pit lane exits to try and open out the corner here around turn number 1, like exactly what I was saying before. And when that comes into the round of the pit stops, you really got to be looking at your relative to see who's coming in and who's coming out, because there's going to be quite a few incidents. And there's coming down the old hairpin, you see a lot of the corner being taken. You've got to be really positive on the steering, otherwise you're going to be spinning off. Coming up into cops here, you're sort of blind. You're literally trying to get onto the acceleration as quickly as you can for the short spurt down here, coming through it right out. And if you hit your wheels on the outside of these corners, literally opens out, you'll probably find yourself spinning. Coming down here to the short straight into the S's. Pretty much you'll see here, take a lot of the apex here, literally cutting it. It's almost like a straight line straight through that S is coming down here into the Melbourne hairpin, right out over to the left to open up the corner as much as you can, literally trying to get it in and then getting right over to the exit on the left hand side before again getting into Goddard's, another left hand apex before we finish the lap here. So there's a perfect illustration there from Mika of the lines to follow around Donington Park.
Yeah, it's a wonderful lap by Mika right there. He comes across the line to put himself into pole position for the AMs right there. Very nice lap for Mika, as the old pole sitter for the AMs, Ocasio, had a incident after putting in their lap right there. There is Jonathan right there, but I believe after his lap, he might have went on into turn one and was forced to tow back into the pit lane. Luckily, in qualifying in iRacing, you don't have to do the entire tow time. It's pretty much instant, so it's like your own little practice session. As we look at the top of the of our leaderboard right now, Scott Reister is currently our pole sitter on top, just 600ths of a second ahead of Laurence Hutzering in second place, and Chris Gooch is in third, Gannon in fourth, and Kohler currently in fifth. And that is after everyone's first laps. Gannon just put in his second lap to put himself into fourth place. As here comes Reister into that final hairpin around the pit building underneath that beautiful Donington Park sign. Gooch has had an off track right there. There is Gooch. That is
there
off. There was Gooch. Was that at the S's?
I think it possibly was, but see there, Dave Chadwick is taking the pole on the amateur champions at the moment. They're in P8th overall, so in front of our pro leader, Tim Malecki. They're not having the best of qualifying at the moment down there in 8th in class, 10th overall, so he will have a lot of work to do and really will want to try and get up that timing tower. But what we didn't mention from the last race was Kohler. Kohler started third in Silverstone and just was plagued with incidents throughout the whole race, but he's certainly one to watch, the BMW driver there in fourth place. Kohler, in fact, he's gone into the Porsche, I think, has he?
Yes,
Yeah,
Kohler.
he was in the BMW.
The Porsche actually was updated with a new rear wing stability, and I feel like a few drivers have switched over to the Porsche. He's stopped on track. I feel like this might be a real life situation because he's not switched down from third gear, and he's just stopped right there. Everybody is actually stopping right now.
Very strange.
Yeah, very strange situation going on. We just saw 5 cars just stop on their own. It's like, nah, we're out. Timberlake goes third, and his teammate Hutzering jumps up into with a improvement to provisional pole. They won 24.9.
Yeah, it definitely is, and pretty much, like we said, only 3 laps of qualifying able to do. So the majority of the guys now will have completed them 3 laps, so will be setting themselves up for the race ahead. But
I know why they stopped.
Why they stopped? Then go on.
They made a mistake during their lap. That was their last lap, and they made a mistake. They probably got an X, and then that was it.
Just deleted the car and went back to the pits.
Just like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, no point going around here. I could just press the reset button. Go back to pits.
Go back to pits. Speaking of reset buttons, coming to iRacing very soon. Oh, no. That is Coy McGrath. Getting a little bit offset, and he's going to park the car up and nope out of there into the pit lane.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But yeah, coming to iRacing very soon. Well, we're in work in progress in iRacing. If you were not watching the Peachtree 3 hours race to MMS iRacing in your own private test sessions, you will have active resets, and that is basically going to give you. You can specify which selection of corners you can try again. You can select the start, you can select the end, and it will just actively reset you constantly to keep practicing only that section of corners. And when you stop, it will show you which lines were the best, which lines were the slowest, and why they were the best, and why they were the slowest. They showed a prototype of that on the Peachtree thing, and it looked really nice. Also,
That'd be a game changer, wouldn't it?
It will be a great game changer, especially if you're struggling with a few section of corners. The corner before the chicane here really gets me, and I will benefit a lot from there. Also, they've rescanned Indianapolis, and there's something called wet weather. I don't know. I've never seen it before.
Ah, so you never heard of that before, mate.
I don't know. But, yep. Qualifying is going to be ending in a minute, but everyone's done their times right there. So we'll be right back with a quick blurb from our sponsors. And welcome back to the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge here at Donington Park on Apex Racing TV. Andy, qualifying is now over, and it's Laurence Hortzring at the top of our pole sheets, followed by Scott Reister and Tim Rolecki in third place. Chris Gooch finishes up that second row, and starting on pole in the amps, it's David Chadwick and Mika. They're going to be starting side by side of each other back in 9th and 10th. Yeah, here's our full grid. Laurence Hortzring starting on pole, followed by Scott Reister, Tim Rolecki in third place, followed by Chris Gooch, Leon Kohler, Patrick Gannon, Chris Van Nesse, Paul Coleslaw. David Chadwick starts on pole for the AMS Championship, followed by Mika Garantes, Adam Hedgecock, and Jonathan Ocasio in 12th place. Behind them is Alex Crater, Carl Grabe, Matthew Knudsen, Alan Mystic, David Flanagan, Coy McGrath, Phil Reagan, Darren Doherty, Kenneth McGrath, Robert Odams, and Glenn Hopkins with no time set during qualifying at the end of our 23-car grid here at Donington Park.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting race. The first lap is going to be so important to these drivers to make sure they make it round nice and cleanly, because it's hard enough going single car down the first sector of this track, never mind going side by side through the Kramer curves and up through the old hairpin. So the drivers really need to be aware of their positioning out on track and maybe just backing off a little bit and saving themselves. Obviously got a long race ahead of them, so they don't really want to be binning it in the first couple of corners. But we all know iRacers, and they will not stop any quarter if there's an opportunity to try and take someone. So it's going to be interesting on this first lap what these drivers are going to do.
Yeah, when in doubt, flat out. When in doubt, send it up the middle. When in doubt, if you see the gap, you go for it. There's sometimes the mindset of a few iRacers, but with these drivers, I'm pretty sure they're going to be taking it pretty easy, especially around Donington Park. We've seen on how tricky that this track has been on multiple situations, and, you know, the first 4 corners, I'm expecting it's just pure survival mode and just make up spots on your own and just try to dodge incidents, especially at the old hairpin. As the pace car is off, as we are getting ready to rock and roll right now. Kiwana Gaming will be starting in first and third, but they will be on the same row. We saw this in Silverstone when Tim and Laurence started. When they went green, Tim didn't go on to the throttle immediately and just swooped right behind Laurence right there, and they worked as a team to pull away from everybody else. are they going to strategize and let each other know when they're going to go once more to try to play the team game and get Tim to jump up into second place and jump Reiser on the outside?
I imagine that is exactly the tactic, and they're in the perfect position to do that. Obviously, we'll be on the same comms channel to be able to tell them when they're going to go to try and make that jump over Scott Rister, who did split them in the qualifying as we
and they do exactly that right there. Green, 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 and they jump Rister to go first and second. And Tim already looking down to the inside, defending that inside of his teammate as it's Osri Rister in third place. Gooch and Kohler going side by side. Chris Van Den Nesse got a good start off there. He's jumped up into sixth place. Rams Championship. Adam Hedgecock has fallen down to Ocasio as they head into the old hairpin single file. Get up a little bit of dust, but everybody is very comfortable and taking it easy through there. We got a little bit of a move looking down to the inside. That is Nessie and Patrick Gannon. Gannon was looking down to the inside. There we go. Nessie getting a much easier run out of that corner. Gets a run onto the Porsche down to the inside. Lee Kohler is on the outside in that Porsche. And here goes Nessie. And Nessie is up into fifth place. But now we're side by side. And look at that. We're three wide heading into the S's right now. Down to the inside goes Kohler in that Porsche. And Nessie falls 2 spots down there. Gannon hopped up in there into sixth place, and Nessie falls down to seventh. And Gannon and Kohler are fighting with each other right now. Gannon beat Nessie. Gannon beat him on the brakes, and in the background, big contact at the hairpin.
Oh yeah, that was a free wide coming down into the Melbourne hairpin there. That clearly wasn't going to go. And I think one of the drivers who nearly got spun around got a little bit of fortunate hit back. I think it was Alex Kramer that we're watching now. Managed to stay back on track and not really lose any positions, but Am's really mixing it up a little bit.
David Flanagan has a lot of damage on the rear end of his Ferrari. He's stayed out on track, but if you look at that Ferrari, just look at the rear end of that thing. It looks like a taco. It just really looks like a taco just upside down, the rear end of that Ferrari, which, you know, if you're a diffuser enthusiast, you'd be like, hey, that's good. That's not how it works. As Doherty is off in the old hairpin, he's coming across the track and everybody's screaming to the other side of the track to stay clear of that Mercedes. As there goes side by side, just recovering from that drive. The Audi of Coy McGrath sends it up onto the inside and is able to squeak by right there.
A little jostle in the positions in these opening 2 laps, but that first turning got Patrick Gannon. That's why Chris Van Den Nesse, as we watch here, Alex Kramer just taking a nice line through the S's, and we had Carl Gray there just backing off slightly, just saving himself for another race. Yeah, these are teammates, but the driver in front isn't. Yeah,
the driver in front's not teammate, man. He probably knew that his teammate was right behind him, so they're just taking it easy right now with those Mercedes. I almost said Clarence, and I probably would have been shot if I actually got that confused. So they're going to be exiting that hairpin side by side just a little bit, and right behind him it's Knudsen in that Porsche. A few more Porsches, actually no, still 2 Porsches. I believe they're all locked in to the car that they choose for the season.
That's what I thought, but Leon Koller was driving a BMW last week, so he's decided to change over. So maybe he got a free pass to change a car to the Porsche if they need it. But Matthew there, currently second in the Amateur Championship, not having it all his own way in this round, has a lot of work to do at the moment to try and get himself back up there. But in the front of the AM battle, as Darren Doherty has a little spin coming. I think that's after the old hairpin. To Starkey
yeah, you can see in the background he went off in the old hairpin, couldn't recover the car, and went across the track and got caught up on the opposite bank right there.
Yeah, it definitely is. But yeah, like I was saying on the first lap, Paul Gannon got that first corner completely wrong, which gave Chris Van Den Nesse the opportunity to pass. Chris was being very defensive, but then Kohler just managed to make that mistake. Oh, as we got Cole Gray there, one of the XZ Racing team just coming off and hitting the barrier. So he will certainly have some front-end damage on that Mercedes. But yeah, so that first lap was very interesting between Paul Gannon, Chris Van Den Nesse and Kohler, where it is, David Chadwick, our AMA.
Oh, we got more chaos. It's another XZ cars. It's Phil Reagan this time.
Yeah. just following the AM Championship leader there, doing exactly the same, coming around Goddard's in turn number 12. So it seems to be... Laurence.
Taking the rallycross line at the old hairpin right there.
Yeah, he's taking a lot of the apex there, a lot of the dust kicking up. Nearly lost it, but just managed to keep it. So Dill out in front, and I'm pretty sure that Paul Gannon just wants to get up onto the front as we watch a replay here, coming down into the Kramer curve. Just now.
I think this is all 4 wheels off the line as we ride off here. Commitment, regret. You see how fast he moved his hand, snapped to the left, kept the car pointed forward, and immediately back onto the throttle. That is knowing what you are doing right there and keeping that car underneath your control as Kawana Gaming is still holding that first and second after that pristine teamwork at the start to make that a first and second off the line.
They couldn't wish for anything better, were they? Just behind each other, be able to say exactly when he's going to go, easily able to jump Scott Brister there, who would have been looking at that first place car when it was going to go. But again, Laurence just getting it slightly wrong. He is on the ragged edge at the moment. Is Lorenzo our first place? And wow, he can't.
Is he going to do it again?
Left there.
No. He's kept it way onto the inside right there.
He's playing a dangerous game.
He's playing the dangerous game, but that is what you got to do to stay in the lead. Speaking of in the lead, our amateur driver that is in the lead right now, it's Mika of No Limit Sim Racing. The 118's got a 2-second gap to his Ocasio right behind him, and a 8-second gap, about a 1-second gap to Paul ahead of him. There is Jonathan, and Jonathan in that Lamborghini. The only Lamborghini in the field is being pressured by Adam Hedgecock, the pro, and then Alan Mystic is that car right behind him.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's all changed in that amateur. Certainly after Dave Chadwick there took a little spin coming down into Goddard's, which really put pay to him. He was up in the lead, but currently down in 7th place in class. So really going to have to get a wriggle on to try and score some decent points to keep that first place at the moment. But that amateur championship's just sort of been thrown out the window at the moment, and it all pays good for our viewers for being a close championship if we don't have somebody running away with it, as we watch Alex Kramer currently in P10th at the moment in town. Not having a great drive, but he's a pro, so has 3 amateur drivers in front of him, so having the best of days at the moment.
Yeah, not the best of the day for Alex. He had that, he started at 13th, and he's just been unable. He was actually caught up in that first lap incident at the hairpin, and I would say that was most of all these drivers right there. We got this big separation between the fields now of the drivers that were involved in the hairpin and the drivers that were not. And everybody who was involved has kind of just hit this lull and unable to gain an advantage on the car ahead of them.
Yeah, it certainly is. It looks like from P10 is not too bad behind, but then you start from P11 down in overall is you're talking a decent margin off the lead.
Yeah, if you look at the mini-map, it will be very pronounced.
It will be, yeah.
Yep, there it is. Oof. That group is being led by 4th in the AMs down there, but really this group that we're looking at, Adam Hedgecock, is I would say the first part of that hairpin issue, and then the second part of the hairpin issue. But you can see the top 8, top 9 overall are on their own group. Then it's 9th overall down to, what would that be? 13th? And then we got the 14th down group behind them.
It is. It's like I was saying, that first lap is really important to try and keep it nice and clean. Because like I say again, as we see Glenn Hopkins there really getting into the back of that Ferrari in front, nearly push him along. As we have Adams there in turn number 1, getting it slightly wrong, getting it out a little bit too wide.
Front end of that BMW.
It is. It's pretty damaged, isn't it?
Yeah, he's had another issue somewhere. I think that was from the hairpin issue, or it might have been from another thing, but the XZ Racing team I think that's all their team right there. Carl Gray, Robert Odoms, and Phil Reagan. All, well, it's all in 3 in a row, but unfortunately, it's all the way down in 7th, 8th, and 9th, 10th, 9th, and 8th.
8th, 9th, and 10th in class. There we go. But all 3 of the Z Racing's.
So, and 11th, Darren Doherty is back there as well.
He is indeed. And behind him, we have Kenneth McGrath.
He's on his own team. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, he certainly is, way off the pace. But you can sort of see there, Doherty's obviously clearly come into the pits, being 1 minute behind at the moment. It's it's going to be a hour-long race. Only 10 minutes in, so 15 minutes to go to see what they can do. But joining right back at the front of the field, we've still got Lorenzo at the front of the field with Tim, his teammate, behind him. Great start. Just a slight little advantage over Scott Rister there in 3rd place. And then a little
that's Mystic! 2 cars going off. Mystic and Alex Trader. Alex Trader going off the track to avoid Alan Mystic right there on the Mystic Turtles. But Crater, if they move around the outside in the grass, the pass of the grass for that spot. 12th place overall, 10th place in class. Didn't get a class position as Mystic is part of the AMs, but that is track position, and track position gains you a bit more time to the cars ahead. But Alan Mystic, what happened there at turn 1?
Yeah, he went onto the inside and went off the grass on the inside, which is a very unusual place
I think he went a little bit wide and came across the track. Here we go. We're going to see what happened to that Audi. The Mystic Turtles gets onto the inside curve that goes onto the outside. Yep, catches the grass in.
Close, very close. And
that is a clinch of a moment right there.
Yeah, and Alex saw the car and done a great avoiding action there. But Alan's actually probably up. Yes, he is. No, he's not. I thought he was our biggest mover up 3 places. Actually, Glenn Hopkins up 6 places from where he started. So
Glenn Hopkins didn't set. He didn't set a lap time in his qualifying session, but he definitely took advantage of a few incidents to get that spot. I think Glenn might have been one of the cars that when everybody. Oh, he's done it again!
This time he went well off track, and will certainly lose them 3 places he gained. As you can see him piling down.
4, and 5.
There we go. To the back of the grid behind David Chadwick in 6th place in class. So was running quite well, and 2 incidents.
Contact! Hopkins came across the track into David Chadwick. And that's a lot of damage to David Chadwick, and I expect Hopkins right there. You see Chadwick. That wheel is tilted. I don't know if you were watching BTCC earlier in the year, but this is where we saw that massive fire of one of the British touring cars as, well, that car is being lipped and drifted around as another of the XZ racing cars, Jonathan Ocasio, is off, and the S is at the chicane, and he's actually being overtaken by Knudsen. That just shows off that gap as he came across the track. It's a big move, and the Ferrari gets bumped ahead. A big bump in the back. That's Flanagan getting a little help by Coy McGrath as they're trying to get around that Ferrari, the Ocasio up ahead in that Lamborghini. It's Ferrari versus Lamborghini fight. Flanagan versus Ocasio. I would say Flanagan would be a little bit livid right with that because it was a very clear. I'm a little bit faster, and he just goes all the way down to the inside, and you can see everybody just darting around to the outside trying to find the advantage of Flanagan. Another bump to the back end of that already bumped up rear end of that Ferrari. Luckily, the rear wing isn't janked up. As let's right aboard of the XC Racing, Jonathan Ocasio looking down to the inside of the old hairpin. Does not go for that move. A move down there would be suicide. But Ocasio, is probably testing the limits and filling the mirrors of that Porsche of Matthew Knudsen. As they head into the double right-handers at the top of the circuit. 3 wide of the hairpin. Laurence Holtzering goes for the lead of the race. And Tom Rolek gets hit by that's a back marker. That's one of the missing turtles. And now there's Reister. He took the lead of the race just momentarily. He had the inside line. Holtzering went on around to the outside, had the speed off the exit, but Reister using that back marker, the 115 of Kenan McGrath, perfectly to jump into second place and now challenge for the lead as Tom Rolek. Well, I think I don't know what the entire situation with that was before. But yeah, the back marker of Kenny McGrath getting into the middle of that fight, really separating our leaders and allowing Reiser to hop into second place. And now Tom Roulette under pressure from Gannon again. And oh, he is bump drafted Roulette right there. They're going to be side by oh, hello. I thought they were going to be side by side headed up the hill right there. But these Mercedes cars are absolutely on point and on track as well.
Yeah, this is part 2 of the epic battle between Gannon and Lorenzo. Yeah, looking at it, but it's going to be interesting. But I mean, what a mix-up there from one of the backmarks. Oh, as we watch Matthew there getting it slightly wrong, coming out the old hairpin there, getting it in the Porsche, just getting out of the way luckily, and losing a few positions in the aftermath as well. But what I was looking at with that David Flanagan there, he must feel like he's got some sort of bullseye painted on the back of his car, because I think he's probably been hit about 3 or 4 times in the back of that Ferrari. But amazingly, and I don't know how, his rear wing is still straight.
Yeah, that rear wing is still straight. It's trying to detach from the rear bumper. So with these GT3 cars, it's just barely hitting the supportive there. But it's not like the old Radical where you get a little bit of damage right there. It actually makes the rear wing a little bit more aerodynamic.
It's depending which way it bends, isn't it? You'd be all right around the left if it was a left-hand corner. So, but no, he's certainly been in the wars, and it looks like
he's going to the pits.
He certainly has obviously too much damage on that car. 16 minutes. Clearly, it's not going to be a scheduled pit stop here for David Flanagan. Must have too much damage on that car.
I'm going to think outside the box here. I think he... No, he's got a drive-through penalty.
Incident level already after 16 minutes. So
he has been hit 4 times.
I mean, that's just salt into the wounds, isn't it? You know, you've been hit that many times from the rear, nothing to do with yourself.
Kenneth McGrath's had an issue. Coy McGrath, not Kenneth McGrath. Kenneth is in the pits. Coy is off at the old hairpin.
Certainly is, and struggling to get that car back on, and must have damage. He's snaking it out there, trying to get back.
I think he's just trying to regain control of the car. You know, you're in the grass, and everything is just all loosey-goosey at that point. But Coy is back on point right there. Little tricky game for y'all at home. Usually, I would say drink water with this game, because if you drink any sort of other beverage that has any content and you are not allowed, I usually let that fall. So drink water when you're doing this game. Take a shot whenever somebody says, and off at the old hairpin.
Quite a few. Luckily, we're not going to Mosport round turn number 2, because there'll be a lot of drinking around there. That's for sure.
Well, if you go off at turn number 2 at Mosport, the car just crashes.
It normally does, yes.
Yes. And off at the old hairpin is Kohler.
Well, his luck has certainly not changed from Silverstone there, getting slightly
off what about this exit? Hello, he's got 2 cars right there, and that was Kramer and Hedgecock diving him diving to the other side of the track to avoid him. But take a shot.
Yeah, a bit of trivia, see if you know. Do you know the one and only Formula One? What year was the one and only Formula One race around this track?
Ooh. Well, it would not be a recent one. It would be back in 1957.
1957? 1993? Way off, Austin.
I was going down towards the original Donington Park.
Oh, it's 1993 was one and only F1 race around here. There we go, a bit of trivia for you. As they watch Alan Missick trying to recover from his turn 1 incident, trying to get back up. Currently 4th in class, so the spins that he's had has been probably outweighed with the amount of other spins that have been in that amateur class. It's going to be one for the winners, is the one that doesn't spin the most, I think, in that amateur class. All the XY team has managed to do a little spin. And our current champion, or current points leader in the amateur champs, David Chadwick. Wow, I mean, he's right down in 22nd place, probably lap down now.
He is a lap down. He's down all the way 13 spots down from where they qualified, and I can tell you that heading into the pits right now, McGrath Coy McGrath is joining Kenneth McGrath in that pit lane. I feel like this is a drive-through. It is a drive-through.
Wow, that's two out of the field so far have drive-through penalties, and pretty much the second one will be a lot less. I don't actually know the incident level for the drive-through penalty, but normally the second is probably 8 more for getting another drive-through. So a lot of drivers already getting quite close to it.
15x, then every 6x.
We'll be skating on thin ice then, aren't we? We might see a few cars doing multiple drive-through penalties here at Donington Park. Really the war of attrition on these incident points. We can sort of see the cars with heavily damaged rear ends.
Flanagan.
It's been Flanagan. And it's really putting pay to a lot of the racing. I suppose I don't know where you stand on that, Austin, because it seems to be a little bit unfair in it. If you get hit in the rear, you get 4x. Whoa, as we see, it's been
that is Kenneth McGrath.
Kenneth?
And I think that is going to... Nope, not drive-through penalty for Kenneth. Kenneth McGrath, I would say the most wrecked out of everybody here today. I've always agreed with the incident points because it takes 2 cars for an incident. And, you know, you always kind of have to drive. This is how I've driven in real life, too. If you put your car into a situation where if it's oh, he's going to hit me in this situation, you always got to leave room, even if it, you know, opens up the inside out of place. I kind of race like I race in club racing. You always got to respect the other drivers, and sometimes this gets a little bit overzealous situation. If a guy wants to set up the inside to crash himself, let him have that inside line. He's going to overshoot it. As this is David Flanagan, well, returning the punching to Robert O'Dams up the hill.
Yeah, surrounded by XZ Racing, there is David Flanagan. So living life on the edge with the XZ team, or XZ Racing team there. So we've got one in front, 2 behind him at the moment. Gone in, got that fast repair, so should have... no, in fact, he didn't pit.
No, it was a drive-through. He didn't stop.
Yes, my mistake.
Yeah, but he's not letting up at all. The lowest pro driver right now, trying to gain the speed on him. And, you know, if only one other pro driver finishes below him, he will be scoring a point.
He certainly will be, being the top 10.
As Paul Coleshaw goes off the track just for a little bit, and Knudsen heads into the pit lane. I believe this is for a drive-through penalty. Actually, no, it's actually our first pit stop.
It's very early, 22 minutes into an hour-long race.
Well, there's a lot of lifting and coasting around here. It's not like Silverstone where it was pretty much halfway. So I think he is trying to pull off a little bit of a undercut here on everybody else. The traffic is still pretty tight, but, you know, we might see our first incident at turn 1 of cars rejoining the track, exiting the pit lane. But usually when we see our leaders, Hotzring, Reiser, and Tom Rolek head into the pits, that is usually the case for everybody to go into the pits, because the usual strategy is run it till these things are dry.
Yeah, very much so. You see a little bit of a change there from Matthew. Still in the pits at the moment, 51 seconds, so it's a bit of a strange one.
I think this also might be damage or
something
going on. As the XZ team orders going on, as that is Carl Gray passing Reagan. Gray hopping up into 6th place. I believe Reagan just let Gray by right there. Gray was looking very feisty, even with a stricken car, as they're chasing Flanagan. There comes Matthew Knudsen of the New Day Motor Club, heading back out onto track through turn 1. Luckily, nobody was out there right now, but he drops down to 10th place in the AMS and a lap down as well. O'Dams and Mystic Reagan all in the pits right now.
Yeah, I wonder if tires are coming into play, and people are, because that was 1 minute and 3, which sort of maybe.
I would not expect to. I would not expect to take tires around here. The temperature is not in the tire chewing mood. We did see a split of tire takers. Yeah, Mystic did not take tires at all. We did see a split of people taking tires. We saw Tom Rolek and Hotzring take tires, but that's because they built up that gap to everybody else. That
here we go.
They could have done that, but here we go. Right in front of our leaders is Alan Mystic. And remember the last time we saw one of the Mystic Turtles cars get ahead of the leaders, we saw the leaders almost take change as Reiser and Hotzring took different routes right there, but you see Mystic just staying to one side of the track as everybody is passing right there. Then now at the old hairpin, where is Mystic as off at turn 1 is Robert Odams.
That's coming down the Kramer curve. That is Robert Odams just taking the offline route down into the old hairpin there, and got it slightly wrong. There's another one down Doherty round Goodard's. Goddard seems to be a corner where a few of the amateur drivers certainly are spinning the car.
Yeah, it drops off. It drops off mid-corner, so if you stay on that inside line, you're going to be hitting a bump, and if you're really on that throttle, the car's just going to just swing around you, and it is, I would say, the tightest corner on circuit. The corner before you, the hairpin, it is pretty tight, but it's more like a double apex corner. Goddard's is a very tight corner, I would say.
Yeah,
and I would say slightly slower.
Yeah.
I would say slightly slower.
It is like a double apex, isn't it? That Melbourne hairpin, and then we'll watch Chris Gooch as he goes round here, around Goddard's. You know,
yeah, watch how much the track
tighter.
drops off right here. Off the entry, just drops right there. And you can see the two big bumps. There's a big amount of oversteer correction by Chris Gooch trying to stay with Nesse in this fight for 5th place.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a completely different corner to that Melbourne hairpin. Exactly like you said, it's like a double apex, the Melbourne hairpin. But Goddard, as you saw there, it's not only a hairpin, it's one that dips away from you. So if you get on that power too early, like we've seen quite a few of the amateur drivers do, you will be off the track. And yeah, it's captured a few casualties in the amateur ranks at the moment as Goddard's.
Yeah, and speaking of casualties, a few drivers have had casualties and visited the pit lane. Current drivers that have gone to the pit lane: Alan Mystic, Phil Reagan, Robert Odams, Matthew Knudsen, Darren Doherty, David Chadwick, and Kenneth McGrath have all visited the pit lane. Our top 4 have all rejoined each other right now, but Hotzring has pulled away as we got a slowdown for Tim Rolek. Rolek having to serve a slowdown penalty. And Tim, we remember what happened to him as he takes a spin at the hairpin, and he rejoins right in front of the 171. Almost got contact right there. But Tim Rolek, penalties have ruined his race and his fight for the lead with his teammate Hotzring by speeding in the pit lane. As he goes into the pit lane right there. Patrick Gannett heads into the pits. Our first of our 3 leaders head into the pit lane, and here comes Gooch in the background. But I believe this is the start of all of our leaders. And look how Gannett is lined up in the pit lane, already prepared as everybody's angling their car towards that pit exit to make it the easiest exit for them off the grid, off their box. And the boxes here, they have a little bit of a bump to them, so you got to watch out on how you get that car launched right there, because there's going to be a bump, and that bump is usually going to be leading to spinning tires, as I'm pretty sure most of the pros have done pit exits multiple times here. As here comes Gannett coming out of the pits. He's going to be leading out Tim Rolek as they are rejoining right in front of everybody else, right beside everybody else. Here comes Tim. He's going to be right beside or right in front of one of the Mercedes, as this is just going to be a very, well, hopefully going to act like a zipper and everyone's just going to file into place. But obviously we don't live in a perfect world sometimes, but luckily in this situation we do. First 2 leaders are, well, our leaders, Hotzring and Reiser, are heading onto Goddard's right now, and I'm expecting they're going to be heading into the pits. So it's right on board of Scott Reiser, and yes, they do. First and second into the pit lane, and get onto the brakes right there, Reiser. Oh, he just got that car stopped right down, but he was chasing down Hotzring right there. Nesse hops into the pits as well, and 1-2 in the race goes 1 and 2 into the pit box. A very late pit box by Hotzring. It's a little bit deep right there. You can see the oscillation in the pit lane, the bouncing that these cars do when they get into the box. It's kind of like Suzuka. The pit lane is on a downhill here, but it's not as pronounced as Suzuka. Have you driven the Suzuka pit lane just driving in the box and the car just jumps at times?
Yeah, it certainly is. But you can sort of see how much
Reister, short pit, jumps out into the lead of the race. He gets him coming out of the pit lane, but speaking of coming out of the pit lane, coming in and out of the... did he just drop out? Okay, no, he's in the session. He's just blinking in and out. Hortzberg is probably blinking his eyes like, where is this guy?
Where's he gone? Where's he gone? But no, great stop there from Rista there, managing to get. So having a little bit of connections issues in our Tom and Tower. Just
He was
getting a little
3
bit
seconds.
confused.
He was 3 seconds in the box quicker than Hortzberg. Hopefully his internet stays up, and hopefully he has enough fuel to finish this race out right now, because we are just now entering halfway into the race. And if your internet starts doing this thing and you're in the lead of the race, ooh boy. So Reister Scott is probably clenching his teeth. Hopefully everything fixes itself very quickly, or else that will be hot water right there. But he's got a 2-second lead, just to match that 2-second quicker pit stop time than he has on Laurence. But your current standings right now, it's Reister, Laurence, Gannon, Rolek, Nessie, your top 5. In the AMS Championship, it's Mika in the lead by 23 seconds to second place in the AMS Championship. All those cars behind him, yes, that is for position, but they're a part of a different championship. That's Crater, Kohler, and Hedgehog all behind him. Then 23 seconds, it's Ocasio, Hopkins, Mystic, and Reagan, your top 5 in the AMS. But the No Limit Sim Racing driver, Mika, is doing everything that he can and driving I would say, a perfect race right now. I haven't seen him do one thing wrong, as right behind him is a driver heading into the pits. That is Doherty.
Doherty's just jumping in. But I think, yeah, Mika's just having a nice, clean race. I think every other amateur driver has had an incident, as we see as Kramer there, just going a little bit sideways, coming around turn number 1. But Mika seems to be the only one in the AM category that hasn't had any incidents, and that's sort of transpired into a 23-second lead. Oh, I see.
Oh, that's Reagan.
Bill Reagan getting it slightly wrong in the Melbourne hairpin again. So they must have, as a cumulative team.
They're hitting each other again.
What is going on between this team?
I think they're giving each other drive-through penalties as well.
Oh, is it drive-through or are they coming in for repair? Let's have a look.
Well, one of them, Reagan's heading into repair, but I think his teammate is doing a drive-through. Oh, Carl Gray, the little tap that would ruin a race. Oh, it did, and the teammates giving each other a drive-through. I think Reagan was letting Gray by, and Gray was just holding down that inside line, and Reagan thought he cleared him right there and just went towards the inside to set himself up for the pit end. But Carl Gray, oh, the teammates tapping each other 2 quarters in a row, and that pushed them over and forced them into a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, relatively low incident level for the drive-through, only 15th.
And that's right in front of our leaders. Carl Gray that's Reister on his tail. And Reister sends one up onto the inside. Side by side they go. That's going to slow him up. That's going to allow Hortzberg to close down. 1 second gain on him in just that corner, as Hortzberg is going to have an easier time on that straightaway if he lets them by, as he positions himself down to the inside track, and he is going to let him by. Oh, that's going to make Reister really angry.
Yeah, it certainly is, losing all of his advantage. 0.8 of a second now, the gap from over 2 seconds a couple of laps previous. So really close in, and back markers playing their part in the outcome of this race. 33 minutes gone, 27 minutes left of this hour-long race, and Rista managing to jump, holding in the pit stop strategies, so gaining about 3 seconds it was, but that out on track has transpired to 0.9 of a second due to back markers. But
Carl Gray again!
Oh, down in Goddard's. And
Goddard's catching another driver out, and it was the same driver, and Goddard's once again, as his teammate Phil Reagan goes through a drive-through penalty. Is he beached?
No, I think he just can't turn around because he can't find the space out on track.
Well, he's found the space, and I think he's just gave himself another drive-through penalty with this. Nope, he's got the... That would have been a loss of control, an off-track, another loss of control.
5 points. Probably got 1 left.
He's got 1 left, and if you get out to do 2 drive-through penalties in 1 lap, watch the back end right there, Carl.
That car is not looking healthy.
The XC
at
Racing
all.
team is probably just cursing this track and not wanting to hop back into it. I know it's not. I know it's not a favorite of a lot of drivers. Jonathan Ocasio, the XC driver, the highest XC driver in the AMS Championship, sitting up there in second place, 24 seconds behind of Mika, who is dominating the AMS Championship race, which is a very consistent performance by Mika.
He is, but Ocasio has Hopkins just behind him for company to keep him honest for that second place in the race for Donington Park. But it's sort of been a war of attrition out here. A lot of drivers getting caught out by certain cars. Like Goddard seems to be the one that's catching a lot of the amateur drivers out. And like we said, I think Mika is the only amateur driver that hasn't had a spin here in Donington Park.
We need to stop. We need to stop saying this stat, or else the Mika's teammates and fans in chat are going to just blame us for whatever happens. I've acknowledged the curse. And that usually negates it. I am sorry if anything happens. It's not our fault.
Yeah, we're touching wood and everything.
Touching wood. My desk is made of wood. My house is made of wood. Well, bricks too. Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine.
Yeah, we are. I mean, he's driving exceptionally well, keeping super clean.
Stop saying nice things about Mika. It will cause bad things to happen.
All right, let's go on to someone else then.
All right, let's talk nice things about Reister in the lead.
Oh.
But seriously, I really want to talk about Leister, because his pit box time was 24.58 compared to the 27.32. Laurence put in the longest pit stop out of everybody else. His teammate Tim Roulette did a 26.10, so half a second faster. Well, no, more than 1 second and a half faster than Tim Roulette. Does Scott have enough fuel to finish this race?
If he has, it's a stroke of genius that he managed to leapfrog Lorenzo in that pit stop strategy, but only time will tell on that. And Lorenzo has clawed back that deficit he did have from that pit stop, and it's game on, only 0.4 of a second behind now. So Lorenzo there really putting a lot of pressure under Scott in first place for the pro win overall and the overall race win here at Donington Park. So it's only going to be interesting now on where Laurence is in the slipstream of Scott Whistler, so expect some fireworks in the forthcoming couple of laps, I would imagine.
And if you're Laurence, you know that Scott went very short on his pits to jump in front of you. You let the pits 2 seconds after Rister really got that gain on him. And if you're Laurence, you probably know that he's going to be low on fuel nearing the end of this race, and he might be lifting and coasting heading into these corners. If you get ahead of him, he's going to be using you for draft and using that to save fuel. If I was Laurence, I would not be getting ahead of him. I would just be letting him stay ahead, making him use all that power and just fill in his mirrors. You have a 4-second gap to third place and a 10-second gap to fourth place, as they are very separated by now. I believe third and fourth have had a little bit of an issue with each other. Their pit stops were pretty scabby, it looks like it. So I think it was just a little bit of traffic separation between Gannon and Rolek that caused that issue right there. But for Holtzering to win this race and really make it clear, it would just be benefiting off of Reister's short fuel stop, and just make sure that he uses all that power and try to make him run out of fuel nearing the end of this race. And
Yeah,
then
definitely.
you take the fight to him in the final 5 minutes. At this point, it's just punish, follow, and then pace with him. And if a good opportunity comes up in the final 15 minutes, go for it. But right now, it'd just be trying to punish and make him use all that fuel that he didn't use.
Yeah, definitely. Or, you know, you'd be thinking that in the car, wouldn't you? And that'd be the perfect tactic. You know, you wouldn't want to overtake him, like you said, give him the opportunity to get into the slipstream, save that fuel that he possibly underfueled. But only time will tell. Still going quite strong at the moment.
I've learned this from Jamie Fluke. He's the king of the no stopper in the VRS GT3 series. When they went to Long Beach, Jamie, He qualified on pole, immediately gave it up. He gave it up in the first few laps, and he was just drafting off the guy for most of the race, pulling in the clutch, and he just didn't pit for fuel, and he won the race by 20 seconds. The full video is on the Apex Racing Team YouTube channel, and I highly suggest it because it is a very entertaining video and a very good example of prime fuel-saving tactics, especially pulling in the clutch and not shifting down while in the clutch. We've all seen that mistake before.
Certainly is, and you know, them sort of tactics really come into play, certainly in these hour-long races. As we see a backmarker there, the BMW, the XZ Racing Team there, just getting out of the way, not getting involved in this battle for the first place. These two drivers got a 4-second lead at the moment over Paul Gannon, so exactly that. I think Laurence is just keeping nicely tucked behind him, doesn't need to make any move.
Is off. Oof, that's a flyer.
That was a great save.
Oh, fantastic save right there. Picking up the Durst, and honestly, if you were a Rallycross fan, you'd be like, that needs to be a turn.
It certainly does. That was a great car control there for Paul Ocasio, who didn't lose any positions, but certainly
didn't lose a lot of time.
He lost a truck ton of time, yeah.
And there is Alex Kramer to pick up that time right there. And the RPM Racing number 91 looking for some points, and right behind him is it's Mika.
He is our amateur leader at the moment.
He's got Collier right behind him. We saw what happened to Collier at the start of this race, and Leon Collier. This is a massive recovery drive for Leon.
Certainly is. That's 2 races in a row, really. That is, he's almost, whether he done it himself or been hit in the proceeds, has not had the best of luck in the opening 2 rounds here for the Finding Sport League here, Spanish Speed League here. Oh, as he takes it
off track at the old hairpin.
It certainly is, but I think whatever car he seems to drive, obviously whether it's the BMW or the Porsche, I don't think he can actually buy any luck at the moment.
If you could, well, with 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes to go, we're going to hop over to our sponsors over at Asetek SimSports, as they got a little nice showing for y'all right there. We'll be right back for the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge here at Donington Park. And welcome back to the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge. And thank you to everybody at the Asetek SimSports for sponsoring this Finding Speed GT series and taking over the title sponsor. As you want to know more about Asetek SimSports, well, their new pedals, the Fortes, they're inspired by real-life racing standards. The Forte load cell pedals have been thoroughly tested by racers and sim racers alike. If you've been looking for the best race car pedals to feel without going full hydraulic, look no farther. Place your order now at Asetek SimSports webshop.
On board now with Leon Collier on a recovery drive here in the last 17 minutes of this hour-long race. Not the best of starts for Leon, but at the moment up P9 in class and trying to chase down the 8th place of Alex Kramer there in front of him. Only 3 seconds, so needs to sort of gain some time at the moment, but if he can bridge that gap, then there's an opportunity for 7th place with Paul Ocasio, only just in front of Alex at the moment. So has 3 seconds to make up, so we'll see if Leon can bridge that gap up in front of him to try and get a little bit better on the timing tower and on the finishing positions than where he started or where he finished midway into this race after his slight little incident at the start of this race to put him at the back of the field. So Leon really on a charge now to try and get some points on place, because did not score anything from Silverstone. Very quick driver, but seems to be prone to the odd little mistake, or certainly may have a bullseye painted on the back of his car to seem to not buy any luck at the moment, as we said. So Leon really on a charge here to try and gain that gap back to Alex.
Yeah, he's trying to charge back and get into those points because, you know, you definitely want to be in the points, especially in the short championship, as Glenn Hopkins is currently sitting in third, chasing down Jonathan Ocasio, as the lead of Mika is so far ahead.
Certainly is.
23 seconds.
Yeah. Certainly is. It's, just needs to keep it nice and clean. As Mika now nice and clean on track, and could have his first amateur win of the season. But Ocasio just in pretty much in no man's land at the moment. Does have Hopkins behind him, but so really looking in his rear view mirrors rather than looking forward at the moment to try and secure that second place overall. So probably the only one in that XZ Racing team that's had a little bit of luck here at Donington Park. The rest of the team seem to be plagued by a lot of spinning incidents and
Goddards, this
teammates
corner,
hitting each other, and little bumper cars.
drive-throughs,
Yeah, not the best of debrief at the end there, is it?
bad chips, I assume, spoiled milk, pets going in the house. What other unlucky things are there? Because I'm pretty sure everybody in the XC Racing team has had something unlucky happen to them today.
Yes, it's probably one to forget for that team, but just looking at the YouTube channel, just a few shout out. Matthew Robinson saying let's go Glenn Hopkins there for him, and Luca Zekin is team drama, lots of team drama. I'm not sure if he's no, I don't believe he is XZ Racing there, but a lot of team drama definitely between the teammates and out on track, so not the best of days for XZ.
And I thought, off at the old hairpin is our leader, Scott Reister, into the wall. Reister of Reister Racing, our race leader at the old hairpin, goes off and into the wall, and he's out of the race lead, and he's down into third place right now. Our race leader with a horrible incident right there.
It certainly was. As watch on board here and see what he probably took a little bit too much of the curve down into the old hairpin, as we watch here really out onto the left hand side, takes it in. Oh, it's on the exit, literally gets it off, trying so hard to keep it out of the wall, just kisses the wall. Hopefully
I think he's
not
got
too
damage
much
as well. I think he might have damage with that. And off is Jonathan Ocasio. Well, there's Ocasio, and another mistake for an XC racing car. Luckily did not lose a position right there, but Reister with the race lead falls away from it after a disastrous mistake at the old hairpin, drops down into third, and that promotes Hutzring back into the race lead. And this championship is still a very Kawana-dominated championship, as Laurence is looking very confident right now.
Yeah, it certainly is, and what that has done is given probably Tim a little bit more emphasis in fourth place, a little bit off the pace, and now only a second behind Scott Rister, so we'll have him in his sights as well, so may he even lose the third place in the spot on the podium for that slight little mistake coming down the old hairpin. And it's just disastrous there for Scott after an excellent pit stop strategy. We never know now if he had enough fuel, really.
Oh, still be able to find out.
You know,
He didn't stop the car. He's still out there. But yeah, the fight for the lead is definitely the hopes of that for a way. But you know, I think Hotzer is just putting pressure for Reiser to just push as hard as he could to stay ahead of him, and he had that issue.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly did. He was constantly on the rear of that Mercedes and putting a lot of pressure. So Scott was probably kicking himself there, just getting it slightly a little bit too wide, getting a little bit onto the kitty litter, and unfortunately coming a bit of a cropper there, and moving down into third place. And you can sort of see there Tim just behind him as well, just rub salt into that wound. So we'll have to be looking in his rear view mirrors. Does have an amateur driver in between the two of them, back marker, but hopefully he'll get out of the way and we can have a Scott-Tim battle for that last place on the podium spot.
Yeah, Scott and Tim going to have that fight between each other and for that last podium spot. We're looking at Corey McGrath right now, just separating these two, and you can see Tim flashing the lights. He wants him out of the way before this corner. He's not going to get it, and he's going to have to earn his spot through there. As I think the blue flag would definitely come into play right there. There's Tim. Tim's going to look down to the inside, and oh, Tim's going to go for the dive right there. Well, he's not going to fight him right there as they go through Melbourne.
Definitely got out of the way nicely there, Roy did, and let Tim through. So a couple of laps, we might see a battle. The distance is stretched a little bit from being held up by that back marker, but we know that Tim is a very quick racer. So we'll see if he can bridge that gap. Only 9 minutes left to go for Scott to try and secure that third place on the podium. But the front two at the moment, Lorenzo and Paul Gannon there in second place, seem to have a little bit of a gap between them, so no pressure on the front two at the moment. So it certainly seems to be the battle for that third place is the one that's going to be the battle to watch out on track, unless any of these guys have some incidents. So it's very easily done around this track, but I suppose if the pressure's off you, Austin, you can take it a little bit easier.
Yeah, pressure is definitely off Laurence right now. He did just relax and just go into automatic mode, and he's taking the S's a lot easier than he's used to. He's not attacking them, he's not cutting the course, he's just staying off the off track, staying away from the grass pretty much, and just taking all the safe lines around here, because he knows he's got 4 seconds to Gannon behind him, as Gannon and Reister and Rolek are all kind of in a line with each other.
Yeah, they certainly are. Brewster's probably around about 2 seconds behind Paul Gannon, and the same distance behind is Tim. So them three can certainly see each other. And even with his conservative lines, he seems to still be pulling out over Paul Gannon in second place at the moment. So Lorenz having a nice easy, pretty much like Tim did last week in Silverstone, you know, out front on his own, and the battle was very much for second, third and fourth at the end of Silverstone. And it looks like we're going to have the same here at Donington Park as we head into the last 7 minutes of this hour-long race. So will it all come together, and will we have any last lap dramas? But there we see Adams having XZ Racing having another incident coming around turn number 1. Certainly a day to forget for that team.
Yeah, XC Racing having a well, awful day. Just awful, as everything has seemed to gone wrong for them. And I'm trying to think of an upside. They're all still driving.
yeah.
No, Gray's out of the race.
There's plenty of them.
I'm drawing a blank. You know, we got a rest of the season, so they're probably just getting all the bad luck out of one season. They're going to be fine for the rest of the season. And I'm just cursing the entire team.
It's only one race. So we see a battle here on track between David Flanagan, the unfortunate Ferrari driver that has managed to get that back of that Ferrari nice and clean again after his fast repair, after probably the hotly contested rear end of the race of David Flanagan's Ferrari being chased down by Alan Misty. So the amateur driver had a little bit of spice to what has been probably a day to forget there for David Flanagan. Currently in P11 in class, will unfortunately not score any points here today if the position is maintained. So not a great day at the office for Dave either.
Yeah, it's been a very highly contested day, and they're just going to be, well, struggling to just try to forget this race. Luckily, 5 minutes remain for them. Flanagan will be way off the pace to catch off Hedgecock up ahead, unless something crazy happens ahead of him. I think it's going to be a no points finish for David Flanagan, who, if he scored points, this would have been a crazy recovery drive because he had a drive-through penalty. Remember that.
He certainly did. Not just added to the woes of all the incidents that he's had where he's been taken off track, is he had the pleasure of driving through the pits at slow speeds. Quite a few of the drivers, I think we've had 3 to date, has had that drive-through penalty.
Yeah, I believe about 4 drivers have had a drive-through penalty so far. And I was kind of expecting that heading into this race. Donington Park is very easy track to go off track. We've seen the old hairpin strike so many times, and it's so easy to get a 1X right there. And as long as there's no runoff around here, if you make a mistake, if you go a little bit wide, that's a 1X right there. And it is 15 for your first one, but then it's 6 immediately after that.
Certainly is. And just looking down the timing tower, and Chris Van Den Essy, pretty much like Silverstone as well, has had a very quiet race, just going around there in 5th place. Nobody really in front of him, nobody really behind him. Pretty quiet race again for Chris, but getting some valuable points, pretty much like Silverstone last week. And almost got gifted a podium position right at the end of that race. So Chris just...
that's good!
Oh! Gooch getting it slightly wrong there, coming out of that corner and getting it sideways.
That's right in front of, he's going to fall into the grasp of 7th place. There is Collishaw. Paul Collishaw is looking at 6th place right now. He's chasing down Gooch after that issue, and there is Gooch right ahead of him. So with 4 minutes to go, we're going to have Gooch versus Collishaw in the battle for 6th place. If that Ferrari could catch up to that Mercedes, you see the Ferrari jumping over the curbs right there to catch up to Chris Gooch.
Yeah, having a quiet race, thinking I'm not going to get anywhere, and then all of a sudden gets gifted the possibility for a P6. So probably a little bit of excitement there for Paul Collishaw at the end of this race to chase down Gooch there in 6th place, who we're currently on track with. We're seeing the battle, so we can see Collishaw just closing that gap right behind.
That is a Kohler heading into the pits. Is this a drive-through?
I believe it might well be, because he didn't have the best of qualifying. Yes, it is. So our 5th casualty of the day.
6th casualty, I would say, but that drops Kohler down an overall spot. Mika re-overtakes Kohler, but Kohler falling down, and Paul Collishaw had a little bit of an off track at the old hairpin.
Taking him this week. So Paul Collishaw now got Gooch in his view to possibly make that overtaking move.
In his starting computer, yes. I would say.
Yes. So
he's coming across the line. Alan Mystic goes into the pit lane as we have 2 minutes remaining right now, as our leaders, Laurence Hotzring, just came across the line. Average lap time's a 1:25 around here, so we got 2 laps to go here at Donington Park for the Quanta Gaming team of Laurence Hotzring in the lead. And it's Patrick Gannon in 2nd place, who is under pressure by Reister to try to regain that spot. Tom Roulette has fallen pace once again, and he's now in 4th.
Yeah, definitely let it Scott off the hook to be able to gain the gap.
But does Scott have fuel to finish this race, as Kramer did a drive-through penalty, as we saw a quick look of Chris Van Den Essy going off the track at the old hairpin.
Yeah, getting a little bit bored, I think, and decided to do a
kick
bit
the
of,
dust up.
Yeah, kick the dust up and a bit of excitement to get the heart pumping again for the last couple of laps. But certainly going to be an interesting race now for this P2. Scott seems to be the faster of these two drivers, closing that gap down. It was 2 seconds and closed it down to pretty much next to nothing now. So it's going to be an interesting last. In fact, this is exactly a carbon copy, not the two same drivers, but a carbon copy of Silverstone. The last lap was the battle for second
He's
place.
flashing his lights. It's not the end of the race. Patrick Gannon, it's 1 lap to go. White flag in the air.
Yes, probably wishing it was.
Oof, that's a little bit of a mistake. Goes out a little bit wide. He saw the flash of the lights, bro. I was like, hey, look at me. And it's Chloe McGrath in the pit lane. And that's a drive-through penalty at the end of the race for McGrath. And he's going to drop a spot to Mystic. And Mystic, a lap ahead of him, got a drive-through penalty as well. Let's go back to our fight for second place as Hutzring and Reister just dealing with each other right there. The 1 hour mark has just hit it. And Gannon going off the track, off the exit, using all the track right there. He's got to keep it within the incident limit or else he's going to be giving a 20-second time penalty.
Yeah, certainly won't be able to get rid of it if he does go over that 15th incident, but really putting under a lot of pressure here is Scott. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Paul Gannon's got the measure at the moment, and that's a last-ditch lunge, but unfortunately not close enough there was Scott. So great recovery there from Scott after that incident being in the lead of this race. But we watched Laurence, who's driven this race to perfection, really. The Cohen Gaming, and again 2 races in a row we got Cohen Gaming at the top of the standings there as Paul Gannon just comes over the line in second with Scott Rister in third.
Yeah, Laurence, absolute beautiful race for him. He didn't have the pit stop that he needed to take the win, but he definitely had the race pace to take the win right there. Gannon in second and Reister in third as we celebrate our pro podiums as this fight and scrap is going absolutely crazy. Well, there's one driver ahead of him that had the most perfect race of the AMs at all, and it's the number 118 of No Limit Sim Racing taking the win. It's Mika Garrett's taking the win. A massive win ahead of everybody else. 23 seconds clear of second place. As let's right on board of David Chadwick trying to fight with Matthew Knudsen and Robert O'Dams as everybody is just racing around Melbourne Hairpin and heading into Goddard's. As just spin up the tires a little bit as they come across the line and through the checkers being weighed by Barney.
Yeah, definitely not the best of race there for Dave Chadwick, who was the amateur race, the amateur top standing, but didn't have the best of luck. Unfortunately, got hit earlier on in the race, which really put pay to the rest of his race here at Donington. So just on a recovery drive, still manages to score points, being P9 in class, but probably not what he was expecting here at Donington Park. But Mika, on the other hand, an exceptional race, nice and clean. Probably the only amateur driver not to have an incident out on track to spin or lose time. So that's really the difference between the amateur field and Mika at the moment, was the fact that he was able to keep it out on track, keep it nice and clean and safe, and getting 23 seconds. But a team that's probably had a day to forget are this XZ Racing team. I think pretty much all of them have had double spins off track here today at Donington Park, and a lot of debriefing will probably go on to see what went wrong at this race. But it's going to be an interesting next round to see if they can resolve the issues that they've had here today.
Yeah, the next round is going to be a lot of very interesting stuff happening as everybody's just going to be taking this round into a little bit of notes. But we head to Snetterton next round on the 30th of July on that wonderful Saturday, as everyone's going to be taking another week break to look at Snetterton, take a little results into effect and taking this race into review. Laurence Hutzring takes the win ahead of Patrick Gannon and Scott Reister after that spin in the grass at the old hairpin. Falls down to third place. Tim Rolek, well, he started in third place. He fell down to fourth place. Chris Van Nesse finishes in 5th. Chris Gooch stays ahead of Paul Coleshaw in 6th and 7th. Leon Kohler in 8th. 9th place goes to Alex Carter. Adam Hedgecock in 10th place takes the last point available, as David Flanagan finishes down in 11th place and probably is going to be having a stay off my bumper sticker for next round. Your race results for the AMs: it's Mika Guarantees taking the win ahead of Glenn Hopkins. Jonathan Ocasio finishes out the podium, followed by Coy McGrath, Phil Reagan, Alan Mystic, Robert Odams, Matthew Knudsen, David Chadwick, Kenneth McGrath, Carl Gray, and Darren Doherty in 12th place at the end of our AMS championship. And let's bring it on to our overall race winner, Laurence, who joins us in the commentary booth. Laurence, how are you feeling, and how was that race out there?
Hi, yeah, I'm feeling good, obviously, after a win. And there was so much going on in this race. Yeah, but I got lucky in the end because Scott flew off the track. Otherwise, I don't think I could have bet him on track. But yeah, I'll take the win.
Yeah, heading into the pit stops, it was you and Rice and Scott leading everybody else. Your teammate Tim was having a little bit of problems coming back out of the tracks, as oh, there goes Andy. As everybody is trying to get back onto the track and make everything work well. Scott jumped you in the pit stops. Did you know that he took a big risk on the pit fuel, or did you just stay a little bit more on the fuel, making sure that you were safe?
I had no idea about the fuel, how much I need until the end. I was extremely tight. I had to do a lot of fuel saving the last 2 laps before the pits. That's why he closed up so close to me. And then yeah, he must have fueled up a little bit less than me and jumped me. I got a bit caught out by that. Yeah, and lost the position. And without him spinning off, I wouldn't have regained it. But yeah.
Well, the luck was certainly on your side with that. You pressured him into a mistake to take the win. Next race, we are at Snetterton. How are you feeling about well, that race on the 30th of July?
Yeah, actually, I don't know if I can compete in that. I hope so, but it's not certain. Obviously, a big blow for the championship if I can't compete. But yeah, I'll look and give my best to get on the start.
All right. Well, congrats on the win, Laurence. Before we let you go, anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, thanks to my team, obviously. The beautiful livery of Kavana. Yeah, thanks to Tim for always practicing with me and keeping the motivation high.
Awesome. They're all going to be proud of you. It's another win for you. Thank you, as Andy is joined by our AM race winner. It's Mika.
Hello. Hello.
Well, I guess Andy is off.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, there. Andy's back.
I'm here.
It's
The
Mika.
classic, put it on me. It is me. It is Super Mika. So congratulations on your amateur win there, Mika.
Thank you.
Was you aware of all the carnage in the amateur field behind you and just planning on keeping it safe?
Well, yeah, I saw, like, when I overtook it, I think it was David Chadwick. I think 1 lap later I saw like a lot of carnage. But after that I was just trying not to fight any cars because they're all pro cars, so it didn't really make sense to fight them.
Yeah, definitely a great tactic. Definitely a great tactic around here. I mean, we were looking at your car and you literally seem to have no damage, which obviously got you a 23-second lead because you kept it safe.
Yeah, that's for sure. I had also 0x. Just I think if David wouldn't crash, I had to push more because we were like about the same pace. But yeah, I could just chill a bit. So
I mean that's exactly the race. If you see the race unfolding in front of you, getting a big lead, you can take it a lot easier out on track. And you really made that pay today. You're obviously getting a really good points haul in the championship, which will move you up the standings. So you've got to be really happy with today. Yeah,
for sure. And because I spun at Silverstone 2 weeks ago, I was like, this is the race.
Certainly is, but this has really put your championship hopefuls and credentials back on track. We got Snetterton coming up in 2 weeks' time. How are you looking forward to that one?
Well, I'm just gonna start practicing like maybe tomorrow or Monday. I'm just really looking forward to it.
So obviously getting this race win, does that really fuel the desire to say, right, I can really push on now and trying to do it? So does that make you sort of almost practice a lot harder now you knowing that you're in contention?
Well, actually, I will probably miss like the last race and maybe the race before that as well. So I'll just practice the best I can, but I don't know if I can be a real championship contender. Sadly.
Okay. That's a bit of a sad, but a great win here today at the War of Attrition in Donington Park. Before we let you go, mate, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, yeah, actually David Chadwick. I think we were about the same pace, and I'm really looking forward to race against him next week or in 2 weeks.
Well, great win in the amateur here at Donington Park, mate, and we look forward to seeing you in Snetterton in 2 weeks' time. So good luck.
Well, thank you. See you in Snetterton.
Yeah. There was Mika there, our amateur race winner here today. Pretty much keeps it clean, 0 incidents, so we'll get that extra point as well. So great day at the office there for Mika, Austin.
Yeah, a great day at the office, a perfect day at the office for Mika, and both are our winners of Laurence as well, as they finished off this race with both of their class victories. Laurence did have that fuel issue that he was talking about heading into the pits and was making sure of that heading out of the pits, but both of them making sure that they had everything on lock today here at Donington Park, and they certainly showed that on track as they both take their relative class wins. But Mika, though, taking massive advantage as well. Now we go back to a 1 week break before we head over to Snetterton for a very fun race here for the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge. Oh, it's a Gym T Challenge. I don't know what a Gym T car is, but I do not want to see that. But the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge presented by everybody at findingspeed.com. To find out more about that, look over at findingspeed.com. Also, thank you to everybody at Apex Racing Academy for those lovely setups, track guides, and everything that they have on there. And I'm pretty sure a few of these drivers are using some of the track guides out there to really master this track and get everything out of it. And Snetterton is going to be definitely a show for that as well. Here from Donington Park, I've been joined by Andy Thompson in the commentary booth with Samuli Kimo in the production booth. I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.